Hot mic in 3, 2, 1.
Hello everybody, and welcome to the DarkWolf's Den Radio Show. I am Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf. Please stand or put your hand over your heart for the playing of the national anthem.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Now let's get this party started.
Things are better left unknown, and I'll never find you here, 'cause no one's ever Oh, what a widow, a peaceful spider. When the glass is clean, she's a sneaky hider. Hide the lies and the alibis. Oh, what a sinner. Is it in her? What's the truth in this riddle? Is love really just this simple? I can't seem to find my way in this world that never stays. What a widow, a peaceful spider. When the glass is clean, she's a sneaky hider. Hide the lies and the alibis. What a sinner. Is it in her? Is this real? Just illusion? I'm lost in the wonderland of confusion. I'm lost in the wonderland of confusion. Is this real or just illusion? Manifestation or a dark delusion? Is this real or just illusion? I'm lost in a wonderland of confusion.
is a community-driven radio. At times the community comments may reveal prejudices and other beliefs that we or our sponsors do not condone. Views or opinions expressed by the community, callers, or guests, are those of the individual speaking and do not represent the views or opinions of this site. Rippin' Common Sense content is intended for mature audiences only. Enjoy.
Coming to you from a secret cave, hidden deep within the wilderness. This is the DarkWolf's Den Show. Now, here is your host, Jerry Hicks.
That's right, I am Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf, and we are broadcasting live from a secret cave hidden deep within the wilderness of Tennessee. That's right, we're ripping through the electromagnetic soup, tearing through the atmosphere, and tunneling away into your radio like a particle of Christmas magic. This is the DarkWolf's Den Radio Show for Wednesday, December the 22nd, 2021. So whether you're on the edge of a reality, the edge of the galaxy, or the edge of your seat, we're glad you chose us to be right there with you. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we are going to cover the weird and paranormal events that have happened on Christmas Eve or Christmas. There's actually a whole lot more of them than even I realized before I went and did the research myself, and I'm so honored to be able to share them with you tonight, December 22nd, 2021, on the DarkWolf's Den Radio Show, A Weird Christmas. All that and more coming up here in just a moment. But first, let's go ahead and see who all we have over here in our YouTube chat rooms. How are you guys doing over here on this amazing pre-Christmas Eve evening? Like JoJo's waving in. Hey, glad to see you, JoJo's. Sandy B waving in. Michael Fontaine with a couple emojis there says, hi, stopping by to say hi. Hi, Michael. Glad to see you, my friend. Who else do we have here? Looks like we got Euler Greg. Glad to see you, Euler Greg's always a pleasure, my friend. Hello, everyone. He says, hello, Euler Greg. That's all over in the Dark Wolf's Den Show chat room. Then on the Rippin' Rabbit Hole chat room, we got Sandy B says, hi. Hi, Sandy B. Terry Taggart says, here. Excellent to have you here, Terry. Maggie's Ace, I like this song. Wonderland's a great song, isn't it? I always am a honored person to have the ability to play that song. Thank you, Chick and Michael Musco. They did a wonderful job on it. Wonderland of Confusion. You know where Biden lives. Lobo Ohio says, hi. Oh, hi, Lobo. Says, nobody mentioned football to me. Okay, nobody mentioned football to Lobo. Apparently there was a game or two that this weekend on that he did not like. Anyway, it's great to see every last one of you guys here. And whether you are hanging out and listening over in the YouTube chat rooms on the DarkWolf's Den Show or the Rippin' Rabbit Hole YouTube, or if you're listening worldwide on Rippin' Common Sense Radio Network, the rippinrabbithole.com, or if you're listening from our flagship station over in Ripon, Wisconsin, we appreciate having every last one of you guys along for the ride. That's right. And of course, before we can dive deep into the strange and paranormal Christmas stories, we have two more fun little segments to do. The first of which we call Today in History. On this day in 1882, the first string of Christmas tree lights was created by Thomas Edison, and we've been fighting with them every year since, ladies and gentlemen. That occurred on this day in 1882, and that is today's segment of Today in History.
Say what?
Our quote of the day today, ladies and gentlemen, comes from Maya Angelou. She says, and I quote, "I've learned that you can tell a lot about a person by the way that he or she handles these three things: a rainy day, lost luggage, and tangled Christmas tree lights." End quote. Of course, the latter, I'm sure, being the most telling of all. And that is, once again, ladies and gentlemen, Maya Angelou, and that is today's segment of
Say what?
Now, let's dive deep down the rabbit hole of strange and weird Christmas events that have occurred. There have been quite a few UFOs seen on Christmas. Maybe that is what the UFOs that are being witnessed are. Maybe they're the Christmas lights that people are trying to put up, and they get so frustrated that they sling them in the air so hard they look like a UFO, right? Unidentified flying lights. Then again, maybe the Christmas magic is so strong that it draws creatures from all across the universe. Maybe this is truly a universally special day. There, of course, are cases like the Rendlesham Forest incident that happened in England, I believe, in 1980. Rendlesham Forest, there was a base over there where there were two bases. There was the Bentwater base, military base, and I can't remember the name of the other one right off the top. It might have been Rendlesham base, but at the time there were lights seen right outside of the gates of one of the bases, and verified by the other. So they sent out a team of soldiers to check it out, who found an object in the woods after following the lights for some time. Once the object was on the ground, they actually walked up and one of them touched it, which caused a binary flow of information from the craft into his mind. The binary numbers he wrote down and later would be transcribed into actually having some sort of meaning, which was very intriguing indeed. A very, very incredible case that happened on Christmas Day. But there's so many more that have occurred since then. I'm not going to dwell on just that one. Like the three disc-shaped objects and cigar-shaped object over Hexham Christmas in 1984. These next couple of case files come from UFOinsight.com. Says, perhaps because of a sudden surge in technology, the Hollywood science fiction blockbusters, or the Reagan-Thatcher era, and the sudden ratcheting up of the Cold War, the 1980s were not only rife with UFO sightings, but accounts of abductions and all manner of strange goings-on. Several particularly interesting sightings occurred around the Christmas period 1984. Although the exact date is unclear, a report of a cigar-shaped UFO one December morning between Christmas and New Year in December 1984 in Hexham, Australia, is intriguing. This incident, investigated and reported by a New South Wales UFO group, would take place around 2:30 a.m. on the morning in question when Mr. and Mrs. L were camping at the Ponderosa Caravan Park. From their tent, each would see a huge cigar-shaped object with a brilliant white light at what they assumed was the front of the craft. In fact, so bright was the light that the entire park was awash in its glow. The witnesses would further describe the object as being, quote, bigger than a bus, end quote, with windows on the side. They would watch the bizarre scene unfold for several minutes before witnessing the arrival of three disc-shaped objects. These smaller craft would travel at a much faster pace, described by the witnesses as being, quote, like lightning, end quote. They would eventually join the cigar-shaped craft, following in formation closely. Mr. L would even claim to have seen an occupant inside one of the disc-shaped crafts. The pair would watch the objects as they eventually disappeared into the distance. Apparently, UFOs really enjoy England on Christmas. On Christmas Eve in Leeds in the UK, what appeared to be a red airship with a red flashing light was observed over the Kirkstall Museum, also in 1984. The following day, just outside of Paris, at around 7:30 p.m., a local resident would report seeing a large object with a domed top hovering close to the ground. From the underside was a, quote, brilliant white light, end quote. Even more bizarre, several humanoids with, quote, white skin and wearing one-piece suits, end quote, would make their way from the strange craft to where the witness stood. They would communicate with him telepathically. And that is the abrupt end of that case file. All right. Fast forward to 2013. On Christmas Eve 2013, over Belgium, several residents would witness, quote, multiple orange glowing lights, end quote. One witness would even manage to film several minutes of footage from the sighting. The objects appeared to remain in formation and appeared to remain completely silent throughout the encounter. Incidentally, and similar to the Capricorn Coast sighting almost 30 years earlier, the region was subject to substantial storms in the days before the sighting. The witness would debate between themselves as to whether the object might be a meteor or even a military drone. However, due to the relative slow speed they moved, they would dismiss each suggestion as unlikely. It is certainly possible the lights could be lanterns set off to celebrate the festive period. And of course, the Chinese lanterns is always their favorite go-to. Personally, I think it may have been Christmas lights. What about you guys? Another frustrated person slinging them in the air. But of course, that was 1984, and again, that was a interesting flap of a year. But let's fast forward now to Christmas starting in 1999, and we have yet another wild list of UFO sightings, this time coming to us from the SyracuseNewTimes.com. Thank you to them for putting up and keeping up this article. Christmas Day 1999. By the way, have you guys ever seen a UFO on Christmas Day or had a weird or paranormal experience on Christmas Day? Come on over to the YouTube chat. Let us know. You guys out there in chat, let me know what has been your strangest Christmas moment, right? I would love to hear about that. Over here in the chat, we've got Lobo saying, must be a friend of Jerry's. Hey, Fate, glad to see you over here tonight. It's always a pleasure to have you here. I seen Errol Taylor drop in there a moment ago. Glad to see you, Errol. What is you guys' strangest Christmas moment, right? I haven't ever seen anything that odd on Christmas. Will there be eggnog in the lounge? There's always eggnog available if you're willing to try it, right? I'm not sure if it's going to be the adult version or not, though. That's the fun thing. Cool thing about eggnog, right? It's like drinking alcoholic ice cream, right? But have you guys had any strange or weird occurrences happen on Christmas? Like I said, I can't think of any besides, some really odd in-laws that I've dealt with once or twice, but aside from that, I don't think I've seen any UFOs or Christmas ghosts or even any Christmas cryptids. Michael Fontaine asked what state that earlier story was. That was from New South Wales in England. Eggnog and ham dip, says Raider. Now that sounds like a interesting mix. I haven't tried the ham dip, so I don't know. I've never had pickled ham. So we'll have to see. Sandy B said, I'm actually making ham dip on Christmas Eve for my life. Well, there you go. Maybe you guys send me some ham dip after the party, right? But it doesn't look like anybody in the chat have had any strange holiday occurrences. I guess that's a good thing. But of all the Christmas magic around, that is the one time I expect something out of the ordinary, right? And folks, we have yet even more wild UFO sightings on Christmas Day. All of these, of course, like I said, are from the Syracuse New Times, and they're all out of New York. during the Christmas period, like the one here on Christmas Day in 1999 at about 7:30. A Poughkeepsie resident had received a telescope for Christmas and was on the home deck attempting to stargaze as the sky was partly overcast. Suddenly in the northeast sky he saw a large chevron boomerang shape moving slowly under the cloud layer. The object had a slight orange glow and was absolutely silent. The observer lost sight of it as it passed beyond the tree line. And you remember the original UFO reports to ever be reported, well, let me rephrase that. When the term UFO or flying saucer was coined, was from Kenneth Arnold in 1947, and what he had seen was boomerang-like objects that looked like they were skipping across the sky like saucers. Thus, the fake news picked it up and called it flying saucers, and we've had that name ever since. But I find it intriguing that the report here is almost identical to the original eyewitness reports of 1947, but that was not on Christmas Day. This next one, however, was at about 6:30 p.m. A Buffalo woman went outside to fill the bird feeders and witnessed a boomerang-shaped object traveling westward quite fast. Its shape defined only by its slight glowing white luminance. She lost sight of it and it just disappeared. That was Christmas Day in 2000. Then in Christmas Eve on 2006 at about 7:30 near Arcadia, New York, a motorist and passenger saw a craft gliding across the top of a hill from one cornfield into another. It was dark gray with no lights and massive. They report that they could not see the beginning or end of it. It moved more smoothly than any of them had ever seen. Then it disappeared. That was in 06. The next year, 07, we have two reports coming out of 2007. On Christmas Day 07 at about 2 p.m., a Copigue, Lord forgive me if I just destroyed the name of that city. Copigue resident went outside for a smoke. He looked up and saw a spherical white object leisurely cruising along in the northeastern sky moving west. He watched it for perhaps 20 seconds, then glanced away to get his phone and record it. When he looked back, it was gone. A veteran observer, he comments, quote, "These are really truly some strange things in the skies over Long Island," end quote. Also on Christmas Eve 2007 at about 2 p.m. in Astoria, Queens, a resident made a 12-second sighting from the East River shore. The sighting involved a very big, dull, wingless object moving westward 20 times faster than any other craft in the sky, end quote. So perhaps they seen the same object maybe, or two different objects. It's really hard to tell. On Christmas Day 2008, at about midnight, a New York City resident on his building's roof observed a super bright object in the southwest sky. It was observed as stationary in the sky and wasn't moving across the sky like the stars. Members of his household observed the bright stationary object for about an hour when it disappeared. That one's kind of interesting. They're very intriguing that all of these are on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, right? Perhaps, once again, they're the Christmas lights that people are getting frustrated with, or perhaps they're Mr. Santa Claus. We'll have to dig into that maybe a little deeper in the second half. Christmas 2009 at about midnight, a motorist and passenger Christmas Eve 2009, a motorist and passenger in Fairview saw two odd lights. Upon closer observation, it was clear to them that it wasn't an airplane or helicopter. They had pulled over and saw other people looking at the two UFOs flying together. The sighting gave the two of them the creeps, so they promptly left the area. That was in 2009. We skip 2010 and go to 2011, where we have quite a plethora of UFO sightings on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day 2011 in New York. Very interesting year here. The first one at about 7:30 p.m., a motorist and passengers in the Brewerton area witnessed in a clear sky a yellow-orange fireball object flying east to west low in the sky. They report that the object appeared to have helicopters following it. The object appeared to stop, and as they watched the fireball object, they noted, quote, "Suddenly it shot to the sky at a great speed and disappeared," end quote. So that is the first witness of a 2011 Christmas Eve UFO. On Christmas Day at the exact same time, 7:30 p.m., 3 Holbrook residents were riding in a car on the Long Island Expressway when they spotted, quote, 4 golden lights sitting in perfect alignment across the sky, end quote. They report that the lights were very bright. They pulled off at an exit, but the objects were gone. Now, I will give some of these that they could be seasonal Chinese lanterns or some type of festive, unique thing that not everybody does, but I would think that those would be accounted for, not just keep showing up as UFOs. Perhaps I'm wrong. And great to see you, Xgen. Sorry to hear about your turn of luck there. It says, I got fired from my job tonight. Well, like someone else in the chat just said, bright side, you have something most likely much better waiting for you. But we're glad that you joined us for this Christmas weirdness episode. But whatever it is, it definitely makes for a weird Christmas. Also in 2011, at about 7:45 p.m., a Northport resident observed a bright red object moving silently and slowly across the sky. The object was reported to have occasionally stopped in its own motion just before disappearing. And that is the end of that sighting. So these things don't stick around very long. Most of them tend to just disappear. Also, on Christmas Eve 2011 at about 9:30 p.m. in Long Island, a resident witnessed a rapidly moving formation of 6 orange fireball objects ascending. Then each of the fireballs winked out one by one. The observers say there were no blinking lights or strobes. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say this could be a possible flare. If the military were doing some type of exercise on this day, I have seen flares drop, and that does kind of sound like what they do. They they descend. These were ascending. I take that back. Perhaps there were flares being shot up. Just the same, that one's a little easier to let go than the next one on Christmas Eve 2011. Also, about 9:30 p.m., a New York City family went outside and noted a number of their neighbors outside as well, looking at the sky. What they were all looking at were 2 bright orange fireball objects flying in the sky above them. The objects flew around a little bit, then hovered, then flew around some more. Finally, the fireball stopped, hovered, and disappeared. While they were all talking about what had just happened, yet another orange fireball UFO showed up, put on a little show, and also disappeared. So perhaps they were specifically coming down to give these neighborhood families in New York a very magical Christmas light show. Very intriguing, that case file. It wasn't just objects that went one way or the other and stopped. These things went all over the sky, flying multiple directions. Also, in 2011 at 11 p.m., a Wantagh resident heard a visiting friend claim, quote, "What the heck is that light?" end quote. The pair ran outside, and directly above them were two huge bright objects, vertical cylinders moving eastward. After a few minutes, the objects changed their orientation slightly and winked out. They report that the whole household was frightened afterwards. See, I don't know about frightened. I'd be like really excited. Perhaps that's Rudolph they keep seeing, right? Perhaps Rudolph's nose flying around is what is being spotted. Christmas Eve 2011, at about midnight, a resident of Bleecker reported a bright red object moving rapidly across the local sky. It did some stop and hover maneuvers, then proceeded in its travel. The observer states that there were local police response and military presence shortly after the sighting. And that was all of them for 2011. Quite a good list for that year. 2012, Christmas Day. At about 8 p.m., an Amherst resident was leaving a Christmas party and witnessed some strange lights. He called back to the rest of the party, and together they all observed 3 silent orange lights. Initially traveling horizontally at about 500 feet, then the objects rose vertically until they disappeared. And that is all the list we have for the UFOs of Christmas, at least for the first half. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got to go ahead and take a network break right here. My name's Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf, and you're listening to the DarkWolf's Den Radio Show exclusively on Rippin' Common Sense Radio Network, the Rippin' Rabbit Hole. We'll be right back with the second half after these messages. Stick around. Don't touch that dial. That's right.
We gotta stoke the fires and run off the men in black. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
Oh yeah, your holiday weekend has officially begun. Hi everyone, it's AJ, the Rippin' Rabbit. Are you enjoying tonight's DarkWolf's Den Radio Show? A weird Christmas? I know I am. If you are and you haven't done so already, please make sure to thumb up that video, hit that subscribe button, and ring that bell. You'll get our notifications every time we go live. We're here every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights, bringing you the very best of common sense radio, the Rippin' Rabbit Hole. Jerry Hicks and the DarkWolf's Den will return tomorrow night for a special Christmas Eve special, Thursday, December 23rd. Come along with Jerry into the den and howl officially at Christmas Eve. Then Friday night on Christmas Eve, Friday, December 24th, come along with me as we dive through the rabbit hole of Trackin' Santa. That's right, we're going to keep a close eye on exactly where he is as he makes his journey around the world on Christmas Eve. And then Saturday night, a special evening of relaxation to end Christmas out right, Saturday, December 25th. All shows start at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, and then come along with me as we dive down the rabbit hole and end out the holiday weekend together right with you. Sunday night with a look at leftovers and returns. That's right, we're going to do creative ideas on just what you can do with the food in your fridge. We're going to talk about all the returns that will begin on Monday. Oh my goodness, my oh my, how time does fly. Didn't I tell you? Before you know it, it's going to be New Year's Eve. That's right. Holidays continue here at the Rippin' Rabbit Hole as next Friday, not this Friday, next Friday, Jerry and I ring in the new year in our traditional holiday New Year's predictions show. We're going to look at all the predictions that were made in 2020. We're going to find out which ones are a ding and which ones were a bong. That's going to end out December and the year together with you. If you haven't done so already, please hop on over to our website, rippinrabbithole.com. That's RIPONRABBITHOLE.com. There you can sign up for your exclusive Backstage VIP Pass. It's going to give you unfiltered access down the rabbit hole to where the conversation continues after the show. We'll return back to our Wednesday night Darkwolf Den Radio Show for a weird Christmas, Wednesday, December 22nd, 2021. You're listening to the Rippin' Common Sense Radio Network, the Rippin' Rabbit Hole.
Check out the new book, Moon Madness, by first-time author J.W. Hicks. Originally conceived in 2015, this fictional novel only becomes more and more relevant by the day. What would you do if you found out that almost everything your government has told you was a lie? In the year 2103, Jeremy Carlson and his fiancée Brittany Parsons decide to take a vacation in a lunar cabin. Everything was going great until strange things started happening after they went to sleep. Are they being abducted, or are they catching moon madness, a strange phenomena thought to be caused by the lower gravity of the moon? After a fateful meeting with a guy named Zach Marshall, things become a whole lot more clear. They are now determined to expose the governing body of the Earth and Moon, known as the World Council. Will the three of them succeed, or will things go horribly wrong? Find out in the great novel, once again, by first-time author J.W. Hicks, called Moon Madness. Available now on Amazon, $12 for paperback, $7 for Kindle. Not adding this to your bookshelf would be madness.
If you were meant to be controlled, you would have come with a remote, but you didn't. And that's why you listen to the Darkwolf's Den Show. Now, here is your host, Jerry Hicks.
That's right, I am Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf. And welcome back to the second half of the Darkwolf's Den Radio Show for Wednesday, December the 22nd, 2021. So whether you're on the edge of a reality, the edge of the galaxy, or the edge of your seat, we're glad you chose us to be right there with you. So far in the first half, folks, we have went over a variety and a plethora of UFO sightings across the world, some of them in England and a whole list of them in New York, interestingly enough, from 09 or 02, I think it was, all the way through to 2012. Anyway, a series of UFOs, but and of course those are only two places in the world. There most definitely have to be a whole lot more, probably more than we would ever have time to cover, but perhaps they're not all UFOs. What if perhaps some of these UFOs were the big red man himself, Mr. Santa Claus, dropping children presents on Christmas Eve night? Perhaps that is the magical UFO that everybody keeps seeing on that night. That would be the one thing that I would like to see, is those reindeer and the big man himself flying across the sky. That's one UFO I wouldn't mind watching at all, right? Or perhaps it was, since it was, some of them were Christmas Day, maybe Rudolph was getting in his practice laps after the big run, trying to wind down, right? Either way, ladies and gentlemen, what if there were actual sightings of Santa himself? What if he was caught by the children once or twice? We have here a list, 25 sightings by kids of Mr. Santa Claus himself on Christmas Eve. And we're going to go over them here in just a moment. But first, folks, I would like to point you over to the International Mandela Effect Conference. Those who know, that is my organization. I am considered the father of IMEC. However, there are 4 of us who come together and have built this conference up to serve the community. And just the other day, yesterday as a matter of fact, we did our Christmas special at the International Mandela Effect Conference in our mini conference episode. There are quite a few Christmas Mandela effects, so make sure you go check them out. It's something so good, even Santa Claus himself would be proud to watch it. And speaking of Santa Claus, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, we have a series of stories about Santa Claus from children. Like this one here. Is Santa Claus real? Yes, he is. He spreads joy and magic, bringing Christmas presents to good girls and boys. They say he only comes to town on Christmas Eve night. He tries really hard not to be seen, but every once in a while, someone sneaks a peek. And not just at Christmas. Did you know Santa has been spotted on vacation, too? Around the world, people have seen Santa. Like Johnny Bluefin, age 10, location Key West, Florida. Johnny Bluefin, age 10, claimed he was on a boat with his daddy fishing off Key West when another boat came up on his side. He claims the man behind the wheel was jolly with rosy cheeks, not to be confused with a sunburn, a white beard, and a red tank top and shorts. He even had on a trucker's cap with a pom-pom like Santa, Johnny said. And he took off his glasses, and he had a twinkle that shined even in the bright sun. Again, that is from Johnny Bluefin in Key West, Florida, age 10. Our next one comes from Berlin, Germany. Says, Bettina was supposed to be in bed. She admits that. But she woke up when she heard the clatter on the roof. Excitement coursed through her, and Bettina knew it had to be Santa's reindeer. In Germany, Santa is known as Weihnachtsmann. I really hope I pronounced that right. When she ran down the stairs, there he was, in his full red snowsuit and hat, a little snow from his shoulders sprinkled over the presents as he placed them under the tree. Bettina ran to wake up her parents to prove to them Santa was real, but by the time they returned to the Christmas tree, Santa was gone. That is from Bettina Schneider, age 7, Berlin, Germany. That's a cute one right there. Our next story comes from Garrett Cole, age 9, Bronx, New York. Says Garrett sent Santa a letter every day that year. He only wanted one thing for Christmas, a family. It had been a long time since he had had a place to call home, but the family that had taken him in, well, he thought that they could be the real thing. So he hoped and he prayed that Santa would make his Christmas wish come true, and that his family would be his forever family. On Christmas night, he couldn't sleep, he said. How could Santa put his Christmas wish under a tree? But he must have drifted off, because the next thing he knew, Garrett woke up to the smell of candy canes and peppermint. He rubbed his blurry eyes and seen the slightest bit of red exiting his room. Next to his pillow was an envelope. When he opened it, it said, "Your wish will come true. Sincerely, Santa." The next morning, the family asked to adopt him, and Garrett knew that bit of red was Santa for sure. Now that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is an incredibly touching story. That brings a tear to my eye. That is from Garrett Cole, age 9. Bronx, New York. Next up, we have Mary Sanchez, age 5, Mexico City, Mexico. Mary knows Santa doesn't like her to tell this story, not because it's embarrassing, but because she caught him. Poor Santa got stuck in her chimney on Christmas Eve. It wasn't a particularly big chimney, and they never used it. It was clogged with dirt and leaves. That's probably why he got stuck. Mary wanted to wake her parents, but it was such a sight seeing Santa's boots hanging out of the chimney. But Santa just asked her to pull him down. Mary wasn't sure she could, but because she was so tiny. but she grabbed his ankle and tugged with all her might. Santa grunted and tumbled down. Mary fell and soot flew everywhere. It made her sneeze. Santa was so grateful. Not only did he give her the bicycle she asked for, but a puppy too. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, that is Mary Sanchez, age 5, Mexico City. Then we have one coming in from Melbourne, Australia. Oliver Jones, age 12, says Oliver was too old to believe in Santa. No one his age did. Since it's hot in Australia for Christmas, his family took a vacation and went camping. His little brother and Sam was sure Santa wouldn't find them. Oliver didn't want Sam to be disappointed, so he bought a football, wrapped it, and planned to put it next to Sam in their tent. He would sign it from Santa. Only when Oliver went to bring Sam his football, Santa was exiting the tent. They stared at each other for a moment before Santa chuckled and hopped into sleigh, parked not far away. When Oliver looked inside his tent, Sam had a wrapped gift from Santa laying next to him. Just goes to prove, even if you don't believe it, it can be true, right? Our next story, ladies and gentlemen, comes from Los Angeles, California. Kristen Morgan, age 6. Mommy and Daddy always told Kristen she needed to sleep for Santa to come. And Kristen tried. She really, really tried, but you know how it is. She was so excited she just couldn't sleep. So instead she hid in the hallway, peeking around every time she thought she heard a noise. And then, a little after midnight, there he was. He didn't come down the chimney because they didn't have one. Instead, he came in the snow through a crack in the window. When she told her parents the next day, they didn't believe her, but Kristen knows the truth. Santa is real. That's right, Kristen. Santa is absolutely very much real. Our next story comes from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Lonnie Grayson, age 6. Says Lonnie woke up to a crash in the backyard. He ran and pressed his nose to the bedroom window, looking out to see what it was. There, sitting next to the tall wooden fence, was Santa, his sleigh, and his reindeer. Lonnie couldn't believe it. He ran outside and realized that Santa's sleigh had broken down. They made an emergency landing right in his backyard. It didn't take long to fix, and soon Santa was back on his way after leaving Lonnie a very special present for being so helpful. Lonnie tried to tell his parents the next morning, but they thought he'd only been dreaming. And even the reindeer hoof prints had disappeared from the newly fallen snow. That is Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Lonnie Grayson, once again, age 6. Our next story comes from Annette Berger, age 9, Strasbourg, France. It says Annette walked through the Christmas market with her mama and papa. After enjoying her favorite pastry, Annette went to play with some friends. They enjoyed a snowball fight, built a snowman, and just out of the corner of her eye, she thought she saw Père Noël, Father Christmas. Only it couldn't have been. It wasn't Christmas Eve. Slipping away from her friends, Annette said she went down the side street where she saw him go, and there he stood, feeding his reindeer treats from the festival. When he caught Annette, he admitted that he loved the Christmas festival in Strasbourg and had to attend. She promised she wouldn't tell anyone, and they enjoyed a pastry together before Father Christmas took to the sky, calling Joyeux Noël, that's Merry Christmas in French. Now, there you go. It took off in the sky, just in case you were wondering if it was real or not, right? Our next story is from Travis Wright, age 8, Austin, Texas. Says Travis couldn't believe his eyes. It wasn't Christmas. It wasn't even winter, but here, sitting in the stands of the rodeo, was Santa Claus. His dad said it wasn't the real Santa, just someone who looked like him, but Travis knew that it was Santa. So when everyone went to get food and drinks during a break, he walked over and asked, "Are you Santa?" His mother caught him and said sorry to Santa, who never really answered Travis. Instead, as Travis's mom guided him away, Santa winked at him, and Travis saw the twinkle shine in his eye. Remember, we heard from Santa the other day, and he told us that if it's not a twinkle in the eye, it's not a real Santa. That's how you know. Well, apparently he's seen the bright twinkle in the eye. Our next story, we've got time for just a couple more. It comes from Clara Williams, age 7, Toronto, Canada. It says, Mommy told Clara about the Santa parade, how it had been going on for 100 years, and that Santa loved visiting Toronto. Clara was excited. The parade was so much fun. She got candy and loved seeing the dancers. And then Santa came down the street in his sleigh. Some of the older kids said that it wasn't the real Santa, but one of his helpers. But then Santa looked right at her as he passed by and gave her a jolly wink. Merry Christmas, Clara. Her jaw dropped open. He had to be the real Santa. He knew her name. That's from Clara Williams, age 7. And then we have Abigail Scarlow, age 5, Memphis, Tennessee, close to the Den here in Tennessee. Abby and her family went to Tennessee to visit her Meemaw and Pawpaw for Christmas. They had a huge farm just outside of Memphis, and when she got there, they said if she was really quiet on Christmas Eve night, she'd hear Santa's sleigh in the barn. He always stopped there to feed his reindeer. Filled to the brim with excitement, Abby put on her boots and coat and slipped out across the yard. She peeked inside, and sure enough, there was Santa's sleigh and the reindeer. Santa fed Blitzen a fresh carrot from the bucket that Meemaw had left for them. She wanted to go in, but before she could, Meemaw called her back to the house. Wanting to be a good girl, she ran back and told them with excitement what she had seen. Now that is the best one, I think, to end on. Caught Santa making a quick feeding stop. In the end, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have enjoyed these very, very sweet and adorable stories of Santa, as well as the UFOs, and definitely is a magically weird side to Christmas. I think we've proven that much, at least. But in the end, ladies and gentlemen, all you can do is listen to the case files, apply a little common sense, and
you be the judge.
That's right, Bubby. We got to close it out. That's right, that's it for this episode of the DarkWolf's Den Radio Show for Wednesday, December the 22nd, 2021. So whether you're on the edge of a reality, the edge of the galaxy, or the edge of your seat, we're glad you chose us to be right there with you. Ladies and gentlemen, the Den may be closing for tonight, but don't you worry, the weekend fun has only just begun. That's right, we've kicked off this holiday season right, and we're going to continue to have a blast tomorrow, December 23rd, 2021, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central. We will be back with an all-new episode of the DarkWolf's Den Radio Show, where we're going to be talking about Christmas Eve. I gotta admit, I messed up. I looked at the date wrong, and I really thought it was the Christmas Eve episode. But on our Christmas Eve show, we're going to go through a variety of just regular Christmas stories, past, present, of course, and hopefully some fun in the future, right? But seriously, we're going to be going over a variety of Christmas stories, and of course, we got to end out the night right with the night before Christmas. So I hope you guys come back tomorrow for Christmas Eve stories. Pretty much part 2 from last year on the DarkWolf's Den Radio Show tomorrow, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central. Then on Friday, December 24th, the real Christmas Eve. That's right, our buddy AJ the Rippin' Rabbit takes to the airwaves with an all-new episode of the Rippin' Rabbit Hole live show. He's going to carry you through the holiday weekend this year, ladies and gentlemen, starting off with Tracking Santa. We just heard many, many stories of kids who have seen Santa themselves putting gifts under the tree and many other things. And we're going to be tracking him. AJ is going to be tracking him on the big night, Christmas Eve, where he takes flight Friday, December 24th, 2021, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central. Then on Saturday, December 25th, Christmas night, he's going to be kicking back and discussing a way to have some relaxation. The end of Christmas, the end of the big holiday. What a better time when your belly is full to kick back and relax and enjoy the end of Christmas. That's right. And then on Sunday, December 26, 2021, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, he's going to be discussing, well, after Christmas, you got leftovers. He's going to be discussing some new, inventive, and creative ways to use those leftovers and find ways to get rid of them before they run out of date, right? I don't think we really have much leftovers here in this house that last long enough to go out of date, but every now and again. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to round the weekend out right here at Rippin' Common Sense Radio Network at the rippinrabbithole.com. Speaking of the rippinrabbithole.com, make sure you hop on over there and check out the backstage pass. That's what you're going to need to go through the rest of the site. Once you sign up for your backstage pass, you're going to have access to the different variety of fun, like the exclusive privatized social media section over there called Down the Rabbit Hole. That's right. You can drop down the rabbit hole and share all kind of information with the rest of the rabbits, where truth is not only well accepted but welcome. That's right. And also, while you're over there, make sure you hop into the 24/7 backstage lounge, where I personally am going to be right after this show. I would really love to see you guys there with the rest of the rabbits, where the conversation continues all night long. That's right. Also, if you've missed any shows we've done here on Rippin' Common Sense Radio Network, we do hope that you check out the On Demand section by clicking on the Listen Live and dropping down to the On Demand tab. Ladies and gentlemen, you can find all our work from the very beginning. I want to wish all of you a very, very Merry Christmas and a happiest New Year. Even though we will be back tomorrow night, I want to make sure I say it as many times as possible to make sure I hear or is heard by as many people as possible. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is my honor and pleasure to round out another holiday season hanging out with you guys, or to kick off another holiday season hanging out with you guys here on Rippin' Common Sense Radio Network for the second year in a row. And on behalf of AJ the Rippin' Rabbit, Chick Mandela Effect, Michael Musco, Walt House, our amazing mod team, Tom Baillies from Red Shed Studios, happy birthday. Merry Christmas, Tom. I'm thinking of Frosty the Snowman, his first words, happy birthday. Merry Christmas, Tom Baillies, and to all of you guys listening. On behalf of all these folks, my name's Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf, and you've been listening to the Darkwolf's Den Radio Show exclusively on Rippin' Common Sense Radio Network, the Rippin' Rabbit Hole. Remember, until next time, ladies and gentlemen, stay awake, but dare to dream. That's right. How?
Yeah!
That's right, boys. Merry Christmas, everybody.
I'm lost and into the dark. Some things are better left unknown. And I'll never find you here, 'cause no one's ever Oh, what a widow, a peaceful spider. When the glass is clean, she's a sneaky hider. Hide the lies and the alibis. Oh, what a sinner. What's the truth in this riddle? Is love really just this simple? I can't seem to find my way in this world that never stays. What a widow, a peaceful spider. When the glass is clean, she's a sneaky hider. Hide the lies and the alibis. What a sinner, is it in her? Is this real? Just illusion? I'm lost in the wonderland of confusion.
Biden's lost in a wonderland of confusion.
Is this real or just illusion? Manifestation or a dark delusion? Is this real or just illusion?
Biden's lost.
Lost in a wonderland of confusion.
Let's go, Brandon. Check out the new book, Moon Madness, by first-time author J.W. Hicks. Originally conceived in 2015, this fictional novel only becomes more and more relevant by the day. What would you do if you found out that almost everything your government has told you was a lie? In the year 2103, Jeremy Carlson and his fiancée Brittany Parsons decide to take a vacation in a lunar cabin. Everything was going great until strange things started happening after they went to sleep. Are they being abducted, or are they catching moon madness, a strange phenomena thought to be caused by the lower gravity of the moon? After a fateful meeting with a guy named Zach Marshall, things become a whole lot more clear. They are now determined to expose the governing body of the Earth and Moon, known as the World Council. Will the three of them succeed, or will things go horribly wrong? Find out in the great novel, once again, by first-time author J.W. Hicks, called Moon Madness. Available now on Amazon, $12 for paperback, $7 for Kindle. Not adding this to your bookshelf would be madness. And I'm told that it makes a really great gift under the tree. I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Merry Christmas. Good night, everybody.